thing that Barry Sanders did that people don't really do anymore, besides maybe Marshawn Lynch a little bit in modern football, is every move, like you'll see in the video that I'm going to show you, he runs from a squat position. And he very rarely ever goes chest or head over toes like many players do. He's usually actually in a squat most times and quite vertical. What this accomplishes is that he can function and do all of his different moves while staying in his center line. So everyone else is leaning and they're all going in one direction, so it's easy for him to dip and dodge them because he always has his center balance with him. So that's why you'll see everything comes from the squat. He does it, most guys are juking from up here. Barry is down, squats from here. Mini lunges, everything is from that sort of 360 squat position, right? So enjoy this video down below as you see Barry going through what I was just talking about. He can always step away and come back to center. He's always sort of in his balance. It's like a really old school wrestling position to fight from. Not modern stuff, not the Greco-Roman stuff. But back in the war and the combat days, wrestling was a big staple as to what all the different warriors trained. And they would always function just like Barry, sort of from a position here to where you have that crouch and you're in a squat, but you always have your balance. And then you fight and go from there. And that's also why he was able to have healthy hips, healthy knees, and healthy ankles for his whole career. Then he barely ever, had any serious injuries. He didn't really ever miss any time. He was healthy throughout his full career, which is extremely rare for a running back. And I feel like the big sort of determining factor behind this is from him going from that low squat, low center of gravity position to where he's playing against a bunch of people that are all leaning, all off balance, all focusing their energy in one direction. It's basically like if you're to compare a Boeing 747 to a flying saucer. Boeing 747 is going to move fantastic in one direction, and if it ever has to veer, it takes a lot of time and energy for it to change direction, to where a flying saucer, in theory, you can move in all directions with very little limitation because the center balance or the gravity functions right in the middle. Just giving you guys some time to take some of that in and really watch the video display underneath of Barry making people look silly because he's resting from that squat position. Everything from a squat. And he doesn't have to do these moves in training like I mentioned in the other video because he's doing it in action. You don't have to do all the different drills and focus on the stuff that you're missing in your training if in action you're always doing these different movements. It's almost sort of like capoeira, right? But less of a body lean forwards because again, he's still resting back to where he can always go somewhere and come back. If he gets knocked off balance, comes back to center. Forwards, back to center. Boom, back to center, everything. Even after he does his movements and goes down and has to touch the ground to rebalance, he's up, boom, back in that position. That's his resting position, and that's sort of Barry Sanders' magic that he brought that no one has really brought since, and who knows if anyone will ever bring again, but this is really the catalyst and the key to what makes him, head and shoulders above the rest.